Welcome to the BJCP Tasting Exam Prep Course from the Brews Anonymous Homebrew Club. We're continuing with Section 3, Learning BJCP Beer Styles. And this is Lesson 2, Style Study Cards. And let's get right into this. And our disclaimer goes, as usual, this episode in the series is not affiliated with, nor endorsed or checked by the BJCP, the AHA, or any other organizations discussed in any episode of this series. All right, Beer Study Style Cards. I'm going to share with you something that took me what felt like an eternity to make, but I was so glad I did because they were absolutely positively essential in me learning my beer styles. It's entirely up to you whether to use these or not, but since they helped me so much, I felt it was worth taking time to make a quick lesson and really just making these files available because they may help you as well. So let's just get right into it. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about beer style study cards. That is it. And what do I mean by that? Well, here they are. They're essentially flashcard format study aids for the beer styles. They're not exactly flashcards. I didn't use them to learn every answer word for word on here. I use them as a reference to make sure I knew the basics of styles that I was completely unfamiliar with. And let's take a look just to kind of discuss that a little easier here. So here's two examples of some of the cards. I've actually remade these for the 2021 Beer Style Guidelines, because I'm actually using these right now. I should mention that. Not only did I use them for my tasting exam, I'm using them now because as I'm making these lessons, I'm actually preparing for my written exam. I'm trying to get my national rank and maybe something after that, but at least my national rank. So I need to know these for one of the essay questions that's on the written exam as well. So I'm still using these. In fact, I'm using the new versions of them. That's why I have them printed out. That's why this is one of those rare physical photos of something I'm talking about here. So just to take a look here, we'll look at the bottom one because that's going to be come up with an example here as well. California Common Aroma. I have it broken down to the simplest forms, the most important pieces that you need to know about the style. The very least you need to know is probably a better way to say that. You can see aromas broken down to moderate to high herbal, resinous, floral, or minty hop, light fruitiness acceptable, low, moderate caramel or toasty malt. Appearance says medium amber to light copper color, generally clear, moderate off-white head to good retention, and flavor says moderately malty with a pronounced hop bitterness, usually has toast and caramel flavors. I know it says had. I'll talk about that in a second. Low to moderately high hop flavor, clean, and then mouthfeel, medium bodied to medium high carbonation. Now, I'm actually glad I read that one because I do want to point out I made these myself. I typed these out myself. I typed one out for every single style. Ended up not needing all of them, but I wanted to be prepared, and I'm glad I did because now I have them for this course. There may be typos. I have gone through these once since that and found like the major typos, the ones where the word is completely wrong, although I guess had and has is a completely wrong word, but I mean where the wrong wording leads you down the wrong path. I fixed that. I'm going to go through and fix this on the California Common one, but there's probably going to be some typos on that. And as I find them, I'll fix them, but just bear with it. I do know from reading through them on my last proofreading in quotes, because there's still some errors, that anything that was misleading is gone. So at the very least, the proper information is being displayed on the back of each card. So where did I get these? You probably figured it out. I took what is a can be in some cases very wordy entry from the BJCP Style Guidelines and narrowed it down to the really important things, like the things that make this beer this style of beer, so that I had something to compare it to if I couldn't find a commercial example to practice with and I wasn't sure of the style itself. That's what these are. They're kind of the cliff notes for the BJCP Style Guidelines, I think you could actually say. So as far as the file format for this, it is a PDF file. It has all the styles on there. There's 2 per page. Cut it in half, fold it, use it however you need to. I have 2 sets. I have one in the studio right now. This is where I do all my studying for when I'm studying for the written exam. I also have another set in my car. Sometimes I go sit outside for lunch because I have that luxury when I'm in the office, and I'll take a couple with me that I need to know for my exam and read them there. Not saying you need to go that far, but the opportunity's there. What I'm trying to say is, I kind of trailed off there. This is a PDF file. There's 2 per page, so you can print out the ones that you need. You might get an extra one you don't need, but there was really no I toyed with the idea of separating the files so you could just print what you needed, but there didn't seem to be a really good way to do that without each. If I did one per page and you have a half sheet of paper, you're wasted. If I did two per page, you're still going to have the same situation you have if you just print the pages you need from the full list of all the beers. So that's what I went ahead and did. The whole list is attached on here. In fact, we'll talk about that. We just talked about this in the last lesson. If you're going through this in sequence, look below this video you're watching right now. There's an overview and exercise files tab. The overview is the one that is highlighted by default. You just click on exercise tab, and there is the file to download, the BJCP Style Cards.pdf. And again, they're all there. You can print them all out if you want. You just print out the ones you don't know by printing that page that the entry is on, and that's it. These, I am not, and I'm not just saying this because I took the time to make these and I'm trying to justify it. They've made a huge difference in not only knowing the beer styles when I walked into that tasting exam, but give me the confidence that I knew just about everything I needed to know, the basics of it, at least sitting down for that exam. I was even reading like the last three that I just could not get perfected in my head in the car before I walked into the exam. That's how long I use them up until the exam. So they're here for you. Decide what to do. Bottom line is you need to know these styles so that you need to know how to judge these beers when you sit for your tasting exam. And for me, this was a huge help, so I wanted to offer it. So on that note, we're going to wrap up lesson 2. The rest is now up to you. You have the tools that you need. You have beer you can get. You can work with your club. Presumably you're in a club. And there's every online resource known to man basically to help you get through this, because you do need to know these beers. You need to know what you're talking about when you're making the evaluation of the beer you're tasting to the style that it was declared as in the exam. And these are some of the tools that are going to help you do that. So that's it for lesson 2. And that's also it for section 3. We're going to move on to section 4, and I'll see you in the next lesson.